Welcome back to Umineko.
Hello, welcome back.
Um, as the day we're recording this, Rena, would you like to say it?
Yeah, it's October 4th. If you don't know, or if you haven't realized, that's the day where Umineko takes place, or at least starts.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get to October 5th today. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Well, okay. Well,
Sorry.
ladies and gentlemen, the family head's health is not at its best. He seemed extremely sad not to be able to share lunch with you all, now that you have gathered for. Eh?
Sorry.
It's fine. Now that you have gathered this event that occurs but once a year.
I'm like messing with stuff on my side, so every now and then I accidentally click it and then it goes black for all of us. Except for the recording.
Ah!
It happened again, sorry.
It's fine. Pretty funny.
Alright.
Coda, let the lunch begin. Certainly, I shall begin today's luncheon.
Okay, Superintendent Chalmers. Or, wait, no, shit. Shit!
Huh?
My dead meme reference ruined! It's Skinner! He's the one that says luncheon.
Dr. Nanjo, is father's condition really that bad?
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Steamed hams. You don't remember that meme?
Oh, I do. One bad memory, and I never got to actually, like, watch it. There's actually Steamed Hams, but it's a playable episode of Umineko. It exists. So
That's amazing.
check that out. Yeah.
I love The Simpsons, so...
Couldn't he at least let us see his face?
It's more of a problem of mood than a physical condition. And for that, there is no medicine I can prescribe. Kinzo on SSRIs.
Maybe it would have fixed Umineko.
He would have fixed him. A therapist
Yeah.
looking at Kenzo, I could fix him.
I think he'd need more than SSRIs, though.
Hey, are we talking about his mood again? You've got to be kidding me. We took time out of our schedules during this damn busy autumn season just to come and find out how he's doing. And now hold on. Every time you hear that I clicked on something and then it disappeared for Rena.
Then you should be happy, Rudolph. You know how he's doing. Or what? Would you rather take my place and try to persuade our ill-humored father to come join us?
No one in this family looks similar. Like, everyone just looks completely different.
I think Rosa and Kraus look kind of similar.
Yeah, but I think that's mainly the hair color.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Rudolph shrugged. That's my favorite sequel. Rudolph Shrugged, sequel to Atlas Shrugged.
What is Atlas Shrugged?
God, it's some shitty political ideology book. Here. God. Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna make sure I know exactly what kind of ideology it is. Alright. The book depicts a dystopian United States in which private businesses suffer under increasingly burdensome laws and regulations. It's anarcho-capitalism, basically. And the game
Okay.
BioShock took inspiration from Atlas Shrugged because of how obviously fucking terrible the world Ayn Rand, the author of Atlas Shrugged, they basically made Rapture in BioShock is what Ayn Rand thinks is like a utopia. But it's completely not. It's an awful dystopia. Anyway. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant at how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting. Does it seem like his mood will improve before dinner? Kraus-Nissan?
I have no idea. If you want to know that, you should ask him directly. Although, I think his mood will improve faster if we don't bother him. Pretty funny that Kraus said that, oh, father would love to join you all. He's sad that he can't join. Something like that.
Yeah, and then continued to be, and then went on to say, like, oh no, he fucking hates us right now. Genji-san's the only one who could get grandfather out of a funk. It's pretty pathetic, though, making the servants deal with your own parents' bad mood. Damn.
Jessica, don't speak out of turn.
She'd planned for her complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but had reached even Kraus's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking. If he's as cranky as they make him sound, he can't be that terribly sick, right? I mean, they're saying he's in a bad mood, not that he's got no energy, which at least proves he's got his wits about him. It's because grandfather has especially strong willpower. However, that doesn't necessarily mean his body will be able to keep up. Speaking of keeping up, I find it's kind of hard for me to keep up doing this voice with George because he talks so coherently.
It's pretty funny.
Like, there is like...
I wonder if you're gonna have to change his voice halfway through.
I wonder. Because, like, in Homestuck, there is a character who's full-on stoner. And, like, the voice just... I can do it so easily for him. Just because how he talks in that stoner way. But with George, it's so coherent that I kind of feel myself slipping out of it. Shit, did I say that? Did I say, however, that doesn't necessarily mean?
Yes.
Alright, cool. Did. Since last year, they keep saying that he has 3 months left. If the initial diagnosis was correct, grandfather has been prolonging his life by willpower alone. It's right for us to worry about him. Lunch started with the family head's seat still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Ushiromiya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Okay, it was just dead silent. I was like, Okay. Every time that scene transition happens, I never know if, like, I need to press a button or anything, or a key.
I can't remember either.
The Ushiromiya family conference was held once every year, on the first weekend of October. If a normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around buckets of sushi or something. Oh my god, speaking of family reunion, did I tell you how my dad gave me a fucking heart attack?
Yeah. I do remember that.
context for the people at home. So I was in the kitchen because I still live with my parents. I was like in the kitchen, and my dad just came up to me, and in his very monotone voice, so I never know if he's fucking with me or not. He's just like, by the way, you're going to a family reunion in October. And I was like, fucking what? Like, I was like, fucking, what the fuck are you fucking with me? And he's like, no, I'm not. And then I go to my mom, I'm like, mom, is dad fucking with me? And my mom's not that great at acting. So I had a feeling that she was fucking with me, but like I kept asking my dad, like, Dad, are you fucking with me? He's like, no, I'm not. Your aunts wanted you to be there, and that's what broke my mom to make her start laughing. I was like, oh, thank God, you're fucking with me.
The story's so funny.
The genuine fear I had that I was gonna have to go to a family reunion to the side of the family that I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't
Wanting to meet so many people at the same time.
really the only part of the family I know is like my mom's sister's side of the family. Like that's the side of the family I know. Like my cousins that are my mom's sister's kids.
Okay, yeah.
I have no idea how I'd react going to a family reunion. He was like, oh, I was like, I don't get a say in this, and he was like, we already bought your ticket.
Yep.
You already bought you the ticket. I would have been so pissed if he actually did buy me the ticket without consulting me first.
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
Anyway, who greet each other on boxes of sushi or something. However, part of the there's a bug like around the screen, and it's distracting me. However, part of the family's great fortune had been lent out to grandfather's children, and no one in this family was considered an adult until they had met with success in business. So this meeting was literally a conference. How much of the fortune was invested, what sort of business was conducted, how much profit was earned. As a result, how much of the fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid. Or possibly, how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures. What lessons they had learned and what could they learn from their mistakes. It seems that topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently, it used to be a very serious family meeting, where people were bathed in scornful and angry voices, and some people even got slapped despite their age. However, that had become a thing of the past. Now was everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving success. Sorry.
You good?
Yeah, I glanced over and I saw this painting. And for those who don't know, I got a new setup, so like I'm using a small TV as a second screen where I have like Umineko. I started thinking of the epitaph.
It looks like a river or something.
Yeah. That makes no sense to the people watching currently, if they haven't already played this. We'll get to it. You'll understand it soon. But I saw that and I felt my heart stop, and I was like, oh! There it is.
That Brazilian battler guy. This is what he was doing. He was looking into the background details and everything for clues.
I mean, yeah, it's real. Okay. It was becoming more of a normal yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. So while it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was still a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of the man who was the source of all this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. The phrase, while the demon is not around, everyone can relax, comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face I haven't seen for 6 years. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother and Jessica's father, Uncle Nan.
That gets me every time.
Alright, go ahead.
Ushiromiya Kraus, Kinzo's first child. As the oldest of the 4 siblings, he leads, I guess. the
Yeah, it's
family
supposed to say
conference.
leads, but no, that's a typo.
However, the other siblings think he is trying to get all of the inheritance for himself, and this further strains the tensions between them. He is a real estate investor and has put a lot of money into the development of a resort. However, his results have been harshly criticized.
This is like 1986, right?
Yes.
Hold on. Alright. So yeah, he's a bit, alright, he's 2 years early. From what I know, which, by the way, I get this from the game Yakuza 0, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% sure how accurate this is.
Huge nerd. Nerd alert.
Okay, yeah, in late 1988, there was like this real estate and stock market prices just fucking shot up. It was like a massive economic boom. So he's 2 years early. If it didn't start, I think economic booms aren't too. No, I feel like economic booms usually stay around 1 year. So I'm gonna assume he's 2 years early. I don't know anything about economics though.
Me neither. I tried to learn.
And then you start reading about the stock market and you're like, this makes no fucking sense.
It didn't stick.
Like, here's my understanding of the stock market. People put money into a company, and the more people putting money into the company, the bigger the shares cost. Like, that's
Something like that.
That's my perception of how the stock market works. And hey, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
Kind of, it's like gambling with extra steps.
Yeah,
As-
exactly.
As I think I don't know if I mentioned Bia on this one yet, but my other girlfriend, she said that originally, and I've kept using it because it's true.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna hit me with Bia's actually a stock market tycoon. I was gonna be so shocked.
No, my dad's actually the one with with stocks as his special interest. So
Ah, he fucking would.
it's the stock market in France.
What a Patrick Bateman ass motherfucker. Anyway, this name sure is easy to read. Kraus. Now that we've gotten used to this string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. So Kraus doesn't actually seem that bad. He even starts to sound kinda cool. Just like with Aunt Natsuhi, I didn't have many memories of speaking with Uncle Kraus. He had never been one to chat to children, and I felt like he was always talking with the adults, just like Aunt Natsuhi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. If what he said is true, Uncle Kraus used to be very domineering from his position as the oldest sibling, and was despised by all the other siblings. Though, despite that, those siblings all seemed to be chatting happily together. Oh well, even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. That's probably what this was. After all, they all had children of about the same age. By sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago the circle of parents began to discuss the exams that Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, in order to escape questions about exams from my father on her left, purposely faced right while firing off a rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Me.
Based.
Moving on, let's look at the end opposite from Krause and the others. In the very last seat at the table, an old gentleman with a sturdy physique sat facing Kirie-san. This was my first time meeting him. I'd only just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man called Nanjo. Alright. The final lore dump! Kinzo's attending physician and longtime friend. He once ran a hospital on Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and now enjoys his old age in peace. Now that Kinzo's constant suspicion has reached extraordinary heights, Nanjo is one of the very few people he trusts. Thanks to Nanjo's big-hearted nature, he has been able to continue his friendship with Kinzo despite the latter's tendency to fly into rage at the slightest provocation. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. I just fucking said that. He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when that mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over several decades. Throuple between Kinzo, Nanjo, and...
Genji.
Yeah.
I love that. Polyamorous old man yaoi. Also, a life of leisure. He lives with Kinzo.
Do they live together?
Well, he lives on Rokkenjima, and he attends to Kinzo.
I assumed that he commuted.
Well, yeah, he's one of the live-in servants.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's also commuting to Rokkenjima is like you would have to book it in advance, and it's not usually worth it unless there's multiple people traveling.
Yeah. I kind of assumed he lived off island, but made the commute whenever he had a monthly visit.
Just my morning boat ride.
Yeah. I thought at first that the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems he was actually grandfather's chess partner. I see. That kind of hobby seems very like our grandfather, what with his love with all things Western. Nanjo is probably the only person who could enter Rokkenjima despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looked like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Kirie and the other women who sat near to him. Considering how long he stayed by the side of our short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he was a family doctor, having anyone outside the Ushiro-miya family attend the family conference was a little odd. It made me think that grandfather's condition might have worsened so much, it'd be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that just a second ago. Something about how we've been getting continuous reports since around last year that grandfather didn't have long to live. It's nasty to think about, but consider how rich grandfather is. At the time of his death, his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach's acid. And it'll lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. There's a good chance they'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Finally, even though he hasn't shown up, let me introduce our grandfather. The person who should be sitting in that incipient's chair is Ushiro-miya Kinzo. It really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got this perfectly normal one himself. If only his name were written Kinzo, yeah, but he let us call him Goldsmith or something. I'd totally freak out. As you can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. I'm one of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. Thanks to that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Uncle Kraus about who should go convince father to come down seems pretty darn funny once you know their background. You can't really tell Grandfather's story without covering that pivotal event back before the Showa era, 1926 to 1989. Sorry, the music cut out, so like it felt fitting to
It's,
do a more serious voice.
yeah, it's pretty ominous.
Until the Meiji 1868 to 1912 and the Taishu 1912 to 1926 eras, the Ushiro-miya family was great and prosperous. Shit, should I do a terrible BuzzFeed Unsolved or Ghost Files now impression?
Yeah,
They owned several spinning mills, making them rich enough to just double overlapping every day as the money kept rolling in. How's that?
yeah.
Incidentally, Grandfather was a member of a branch family and had pretty much nothing to do with the main family. Not only was he way down the list of people who could inherit the headship, but he had hardly any contact with the glamorous main family. However, during the Great Kanto earthquake in the year Taisho 12, 1923, the mansion owned by the Ushiro-miya family in Odawara was flattened. The spinning mills in Tokyo were all burned down in a huge fire, and the Ushiro-miya family lost most of its wealth and family members in an instant. So, once they started trying to figure out who was the successor to the Ushiro-miya family should be, they apparently found no one remaining except Kinzo and his branch family. In Kinzo's later reminiscences, he referred to this as good fortune so great that it overturned fate. With that, Grandfather's boring, everyday life did a 180. He was entrusted with reviving the dying Ushiro-miya family, which had lost nearly all of its wealth. However, just because he had been entrusted with this task didn't mean he could accomplish it. Apparently, those around him weren't really expecting much. However, this is when Grandfather began displaying his extraordinary talent and good luck. Grandfather used all of the family's remaining wealth, as well as everything from the hair on his head to his toenails, as collateral in order to borrow a massive amount of money. Once he built up a gigantic war chest, he immediately invested in businesses. It was like someone tumbling down a hill on a bike without any brakes, and then jumping onto a neighboring bike, and then another one. Just like some crazy street performance. I'll bet everyone thought that Grandfather had no business ability whatsoever. However, after several miracles and turns of good luck, with coincidences piling up and every chance taken advantage of, he was suddenly in control of powerful connections with the occupying forces. At that time, MacArthur and the GHQ were the ultimate authority in Japan. Grandfather, in a twinkle of an eye, began succeeding in business under the protection of the occupying forces, quickly becoming rich. By this point, it's probably safe to say that information, not luck, saved the day. He must have made some seriously deep connections with the occupying forces. Grandfather knew beforehand about emergency demands that would be made for the Korean War. No, it was more than that. He must have predicted those emergency demands from the very beginning when he started investing his money. The history books make it sound like all of Japan made a large profit off of the emergency demands during the Korean War, but that isn't actually true. Only a very limited number of the super rich played the money game and made an easy profit. Most of the citizens remained poor. In other words, Grandfather was a member of this extremely lucky group of winners. I'm pretty sure this all happened during the years Showa 25, 1950 or so. The Great Kanto earthquake happened in Taisho 13, 1924, so that means Grandfather was able to revive the near-dead Ushiro-miya family in only about 20 years to a level even higher than it had ever been before. With that, you'd think he'd revive the main family in Odawara. But for some reason, he went and did something as crazy as buying an entire small island in the Izu archipelago. Buying an entire island is not something that you can ordinarily do today. However, Grandfather was clever. He contacted the GHQ and applied for the establishment of a marine resource base. He acquired this island as a business property, then tossed that project aside and claimed it as his own plot of land. After the war, there were prevention measures against food shortages, and having the sponsorship of the GHQ meant that nobody could oppose him.
From what I've heard, the Tokyo metropolis of that day offered this land to him practically for free. Later, Tokyo made difficulties by telling Kinzo to return the land, but the pushy GHQ intervened. Anyway, it seems under-the-table bribes did their work well. In the end, the city gave up in frustration. Grandfather, with considerable skill and good luck, managed to weather the stormy seas of that period, obtaining a vast fortune and his own island. Of course, it probably wasn't all luck. He was obsessed with all things Western, which helped him cultivate his English skills. He was able to use this to his advantage and sink his teeth into the GHQ. A mansion was built on the island soon after. This mansion, in fact, Grandfather, with his love of the Western style, made this once uninhabited island a canvas upon which he could realize his dreams to his heart's content. He now had the Western mansion of his dreams, overflowing with emotion and atmosphere, and a beautiful garden featuring all sorts of roses. And he had a private beach where nobody other than himself would ever be permitted to leave a footprint. This would be a dream come true for any boy. After that, he made good use of his huge fortune, becoming a large stockholder in the extremely stable iron and steel industry, and was able to live an easy and comfortable life just using the dividends. Well, he's just that incredible. This kind of person usually has the ability to foresee and predict the future, or at least that is how they're portrayed after the fact. But Grandfather denies all of that, reportedly saying that he was simply blessed with extraordinary luck. Anyway, even a lord like that can help but grow increasingly eccentric when locked up alone on an island where all his dreams are made real. Everyone knows that he's had a Western obsession from the start, but none of our parents really know when his bizarre black magic hobby began. Did his love of black magic begin way back when he became fascinated with everything Western, or did his miraculous stretch of good luck while reviving his family cause him to feel a mysterious power in himself? At some point, Grandfather began to make the research of black magic his life's work. He filled his study up with suspicious books, chemicals, and magical items as he became increasingly bizarre. From what I've heard, those around him warmly watched over him, figuring that someone who had achieved such success in life had a right to do as he pleased, but there's no way that's true. They were probably just creeped out, thinking that's disgusting, I don't want to get involved. Anyway, that agitated period was an age of big gambles with both opportunities and risks. Let's say Grandfather was born in this time period. He would have had no opportunities and would probably have advanced like a chess piece from mandatory education to college at a leisurely pace, never becoming more than an average salaryman. If that happens, he'd probably have sat somewhere, happily talking behind his boss's back. No, not in a fancy dining hall like this, more like at a table in some bar. Then again, I'll bet this family conference would be a whole lot more relaxing if that were the case.
I think Badler would use that voice to talk about Kinzo's story.
Yeah, that lore dump, that exposition dump went much longer than I thought it was, and like halfway through I was like, oh god, how much longer am I gonna have to do this voice?
You did a good job of it, though.
Thank you. Okay, that's enough about that old geezer. More importantly, let's talk about this incredible lunch!
I love Badler's dialogue.
I'm already convinced by that sashimi salad appetizer. Yoda-san's an excellent chef. Plus, these fish were caught in the adjacent seas, weren't they? They're totally different from the sashimi you'd get at the supermarket. Quit it, Battler. Your upbringing will be exposed. As a common plebeian. Everyone let out a big laugh. Ha ha! He didn't grow up as rich as us because of his hatred for his father.
No, we're laughing at Rudolph because he said plebeian.
Damn it, you say that even though you love those cheap pubs. Drunk! I've eaten at many unusual places because of work, but this stands right up there with the best of them. I'd be willing to bet Goda-san used to be pretty well known in those circles. Well, I don't know the details, but stuff got complicated at the long-standing hotel he used to work at.
What with them opening a new establishment with the same name and breaking into factions or whatever it was. In the middle of all that, he was apparently forced to retire. At that time, Mom just happened to be sending out jobs offers for a servant. As Goda removed the empty plates, he began to recount his own bumpy past without losing his smile.
The world is a difficult place. However, thanks to the madam, I was given a chance to display my skills as a chef once again, this time for the Yoshiromiya family. Although I enjoy experiencing the smiles of a larger number of people, I also find it quite entertaining to perform more delicate work that can please the limited number of those who have employed me. All this is thanks to the opportunity given to me by the madam.
Goda-san respectfully bowed his head towards Aunt Natsuhi. Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up. It'd be so funny if everyone, including Natsuhi, was just so sick of Goda.
Yeah, there's a fic where people act like that.
Ah, great. That's because you were the most talented of the applicants. The decision was purely objective, not based on personal feelings. So there is no need to thank me. Dang, why does Aunt Natsuhi always have to sound so indifferent? If only she spoke with a bit more kindness, she might leave a different impression. Shannon-chan and Kumasawa-san entered from the hallway with a serving cart.
Please excuse us. Now then, let us move on to today's dessert.
Goda-san and the others laid the beautifully adorned dessert out in front of us all. I guess it's true when they say you have another stomach for dessert. I thought I'd already filled up on delicious food, but as soon as I laid eyes on that dessert, my stomach started yelling more. I don't know much about desserts, but this looked really good. A white pudding-like substance was garnished with 2 shades of red sauce, and elegant rose petals adorned the dish. Normally, during a high-class meal like this, you're supposed to wait for the chef to extol the virtues of this particular meal before eating. However, Maria was completely indifferent to strict rules like that. Queen. So she got excited by this beautiful and delicious-looking dessert, jumping into the fray as soon as it was placed before her. Aunt Rosa scolded her, calling it bad manners, but George responded by saying, now, it's okay.
Part's sour. This part's sour. Adler, this one's no good.
Badler, this shit fucking sucks!
It would be funny if Maria got to swear.
Yeah, no one else swears except Maria, and it's never acknowledged. Maria exclaimed as she sampled the 2 colored sauces. What, some are good and some bad? Okay, I'll give it a go. Apparently, one sauce was sweet and the other sour. Despite it being bad manners, I also stuck my little finger in and licked it. Whoa, one of the sauces was sour enough to make you pucker up. If it were yellow, I'd have suspected lemon, but I couldn't guess what kind of sourness would be red. I decided to ask Shannon, who was putting away the serving cart behind us. Shannon, what kind of sauce is this sour stuff? Shannon hesitated. Maybe her job was just to set the table, so she doesn't really know. Still, even considering that, she seems pretty stressed. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Or did they use some ingredient that we'd be better off not knowing about? While Aunt Natsuki made a gesture that seemed to indicate an oncoming headache, Kumasawa-san, who was setting the table at the opposite seat, began to chuckle.
What do you think we made it out of? It'll shock you.
Human meat. What?
Human meat isn't sour.
That's a weird thing to hear.
Yeah, I'm realizing that now that I said it.
Though, to be fair, I also did watch an entire video essay about cannibalism in pop culture, and it did talk
What a coincidence.
Yeah, it did.
I also just listened to one today.
Yeah, it also talked about different cultures who
have like ritualistic cannibalism. And they talked about.
I think we watched the same one.
Is it the one about bones and all?
It talked about it, yeah. I think it might have been about it.
It may have been the one I sent you then.
Yeah.
Was it the one I sent you?
It might have been.
Basically, it was like, I believe it was an African village that practiced funeral cannibalism as a way of releasing the soul into the afterlife.
Yeah, they talked about that in the video,
which is very interesting. And they were interviewing. They showed one clip of an interview, like with one of them, and they were saying how human flesh tasted sweet, and that was a very weird thing to hear. Like religion.
I'd always heard it tasted.
Go on.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'd always heard it tasted like pork.
Every meat tastes like pork, you know. I don't know. Trying human flesh isn't on my bucket list. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna dehumanize people for their. I'm not gonna dehumanize humans for their religious practices of their tribe, of their people. I'm not gonna dehumanize them.
Yeah.
That's just not how my culture views it, you know?
Yeah.
It feels weird to talk about cannibalism and not refer to it as like an inherent evil.
Yeah, well,
because like it is one of the biggest taboos of Western culture, but there's still cultures out there who view it not as a taboo but as a way of saying goodbye. It's watching that video essay was really wild. Anyway, back to the anime visual novel.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry about that wild tangent. Where I was talking like I didn't want to get canceled. Okay. Anyway. I don't have a clue. Wait a sec. Kumasawa-san. That last's pretty creepy. So what is it?
Don't tell anyone, okay? Listen very carefully.
Kumasawa-san leaned across from the other side of the table. I leaned forward myself when she asked. Their interest caught. Jessica, George Aniki, and of course Maria also put their ears closer.
Ooh. What? What? Quickly. Quickly.
We're running out of time!
You see, the sour part is made from juice squeezed from mackerel.
What? Mackerel?
Mackerel?
That's crazy! We all thought, horrified. Only Maria accepted it, nodding sagely. Makes sense.
Mackerels are sour. This is what comes out when you squeeze them.
Maria's like, you know what? Shit, you're right. When Maria started clamoring that mackerel were sour, the adults were unable to contain their laughter. Only Aunt Rosa, her face red, whispered to Maria that mackerel is sour only once prepared as Shimisaba? Ah, now I totally remember. Kumasawa-san was always like this, wasn't she? I think I remember her tricking me too in all sorts of ways when I was young. The most lethal has got to be that one. Those flimsy black things in Chinese dishes. They're kikuragi mushrooms. She told me they were penguin meat, and I went all around school like a smartass telling everyone, didn't I? Kumasawa-ba-chan, you sure haven't changed. You know Maria's gonna believe it now, right?
It's just a joke. Now Goda-san's gonna tell us what the sauce really is, won't he?
Goda-san looked like he was about to fucking kill us.
Goda looked a little put off about his masterpiece being laughed at for such a bizarre reason. But after clearing his throat once, he introduced the dessert to us.
Well then, allow me to introduce our dessert. After seeing how much you all enjoyed the rose garden earlier today, I finished this panna cotta in a rose garden style. The rose petals scattered across were selected just now from that very rose garden. The sauce is a combination of two reds, strawberry and rose hips. Please enjoy this mixture of the strawberry sweetness and the rose hip sourness. Furthermore, the rose petals are merely decorative, so please avoid them while you eat.
Hold on. Joke's on you, bitch! Rose petals are edible. I could eat those fuckers if I want.
Maybe they put pesticides on them.
Oh yeah, they're rich. I forgot.
With that said, please enjoy.
And yes, I did just Google if rose petals were edible. Whoa. Man, I almost want to applaud before eating. Just like with medicine, reading the detailed description first seems to make it work a whole lot better. Is that a thing?
Placebo effect?
Yeah. As Goda-san elaborated on the details of this dessert, it started to feel even more appetizing. Seriously, should you call him subtle or just talented? The dessert was probably planned from the beginning, but taking the hint when we all stopped in front of the rose garden earlier today, he displayed an incredible and timely awareness by just adding a few rose petals from that garden. This combination of sweet and sour was also exquisite. If it was just sweet, you'd just get used to it and bored halfway through. But if you reach the sour sauce at that point, you get a really vivid taste. And then, once you return to the sweet sauce, all of the sourness in your mouth would be replaced with an enjoyable sweetness. I'm sure everyone else felt the same way. Every time Goda-san passed by one of our seats, someone praised the taste in his presentation. Goda's just circling the table.
How is it, madam?
Splendid, as always. Is worthy of entertaining our guests.
I am most grateful for your words. Madam, did you know? I've heard that rosehip has the ability to cure headaches. I thought that you in particular would appreciate it, so I had it specially prepared.
Is that so? Thank you.
She looks so upset. See, didn't I tell you, Natsuhine-san? Rosehip is great for headaches.
So it seems. I do hope it actually helps. Ha! Goda-san, I love ya! Hey, later on, why don't you tell me how they're treating ya? Or if you can't, just let me know what sort of salary you'd like. Having your talent confined to this small island is sacrilege to humanity's cooking culture. What do you think about working your craft for my company and delight all our customers?
Hideyoshi-san, are you trying to steal away our Goda? No, that won't do at all. We'd better start treating Goda better, or he'll get snatched up. Yes, you really should. If you don't, someone's gonna grab him, and you'll be stuck with 3 meals of Kumasawa-style mackerel cooking a day, won't you? That's harsh. It seems like someone's holding a grudge against me.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Everyone let out a huge laugh. According to Jessica, Kumasawa-san's mackerels jokes were a running gag that our parents had long since gotten used to. I do love weird running gags. Kumasawa-san often claimed that mackerels had precious nutritional value, which could slow aging, make people smarter, and more. Supposedly, while it couldn't stop the outward signs of aging, it helped prevent aging on the inside. Since she was still spirited enough to tell these kinds of jokes at her age, there must be something to that theory.
In that case, if you'll excuse me, prepare yourself for tonight's dinner. I'll be cooking plenty of mackerel dishes for you all, so you'd better look forward to it.
I forgot they were having a lunch, and I was like, what the? They ate dessert before dinner?
We sure will. Can't wait to get all puckered up from tonight's shimisaba.
That sounds wonderful. I wonder if they'll be serving any good Japanese sake.
Oh, we certainly will. Haven't you heard of Rokkenjima's famous mackerel shochu?
Ha ha ha. Kumasawa-san, together with Shannon-chan, bowed and pushed the serving cart away. It was pretty funny to watch Goda-san, who looked like his show had totally been stolen, explain in a serious voice that we would be having calf steak for dinner.
Kumasawa-san, thanks for doing that back there.
As she pushed the serving cart, Shannon bowed her head very deeply.
I haven't done anything that requires thanks.
Kumasawa may have played dumb, but she had obviously understood and saved Shannon in the nick of time. Back when Battler had asked about dessert, sorry, there was something in my throat there, Shannon had unfortunately hesitated. There may have been several ways to dodge the question, but all of them would have required some quick wits. Shannon, who hesitated when hard-pressed for a response, was always suffering because of this small weakness. If only Shannon had a little of the craftiness needed to cleverly shake off a mistake, like Goda, her life would have been a bit easier. The fact she could perform other tasks flawlessly made this weakness even more unfortunate. However, there were some who understood Shannon's honest nature, her inability to gloss over a mistake and draw attention away from it. That was why Kumasawa had smoothly come to her rescue.
I just heard from Genji-san that there will be a change in the afternoon shifts. I believed you were given a break until this evening. I'm jealous. Huh? Oh, sorry, I haven't checked the shift chart yet. Yes, I was thinking I might start cooking some mackerel in the oven. If you don't mind, I would be happy if you would help out a bit before your break. Yes. I would be delighted to help.
To Shannon, Kumasawa was like a mother among the servants. A mother she never knew because she's an orphan.
Yep.
The dining hall needed to be cleaned up, so we were chased out. Instead, tea was being served in the parlor. Apparently, they prepared the black tea that Aunt Rosa had bought for Aunt Natsuhi. Maria said she also wanted to have some black tea, but my old bastard said she couldn't and told us children to go play outside. Battler-kun, why don't we all go for a walk outside? Go ahead and take a look at the roses or something, but keep a close eye on the weather. The sky's still clear, but the weather report kept on talking about rain.
I want to go to the beach. The beach.
Let's go get away. Ninki Minjaj.
What they're gonna say. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Playing on the sandy beach, something you get to do often, is it?
Good point. Okay, let's all go to the beach then.
Let's go. Let's go.
Maria, be careful not to get your clothes wet. Or your shoes.
Won't get wet. That obedience is so cute. Adler-kun, make sure you keep an eye out for Maria-chan, okay?
That's a weird thing to say, right?
Yeah.
Just in general.
Well, without context.
Yeah, but also, I don't know. If I ever heard the phrase that obedience is so cute, I'd be like, man, the fuck are you talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, leave it to me.
Hey, you're pretty
Alright, this is gonna be alright. Alright.
You're pretty obedient and cute yourself, listening to Kyrie like that. Why don't you also listen to me obediently for a change? Ha! Hell no! Let's go, everyone! Come on! The children flew out of the parlor. They were replaced by Genji, who pushed a serving cart in and prepared to serve the tea. The parlor was filled with a sublime aroma, which delighted everyone while they waited to sate their thirst.
Rudolph's family certainly seems close.
After Battler was borderline, fuck you, Dad!
Yeah, after Battler is back for the first time in 6 years.
True.
It's a wonderful thing.
Quit it. We're no match for your family, Aniki.
That's true. You've raised Jessica-chan to be so adorable. I imagine that's yet another fruit of your talents at education and training, Natsuhime-san.
Thank you. Natsuhi answered coldly. The conversation broke off then, and the parlor fell silent. Maybe Hideyoshi couldn't bear the silence, because he broke it himself with an exaggerated gesture. Still, they sure do grow fast. I thought they'd be kids forever, but they start getting huge all of a sudden, and then they're adults like us. Battler-kun looks like a completely different person now.
His body has grown much bigger, but he's still just a kid. Though you could say the same about my husband.
Kid, yeah, you could do so much better.
I wonder where the border between child and adult is. I still don't feel as though I've grown up.
Isn't that pitiful?
Damn!
That's not something the mother of a child should say.
Damn! What the fuck?
That's right. We're not children anymore. We're all adults now. So I wish we could talk together on an intellectual level rather than an emotional one.
Like, just every time there's just a abrupt cut in the music, it always makes me laugh. When Ava smiled with sharp sarcasm, everyone seemed to get more tense. It felt as though that pleasant tea aroma had been tossed out the window.
Since long ago, we have always endeavored to engage in intellectual conversations. Seems your sarcasm occasionally misses its mark. Just as it always has.
Damn!
Oh, what is it you've always endeavored to do? My. I wish I could wrap those words up and send them to this room a few decades ago. Right, Rosa?
Leave me the fuck out of this. What the hell? Rosa gave a vague smile. She knew that, whether she agreed or disagreed, she'd earned the displeasure of one of her siblings. This is a bit of worldly wisdom that had been essential for someone growing up as the youngest sibling. Quit it, Aneki. We'd better get started on our main topic while the brats aren't around. Let us make that our intellectual discussion. As Rudolph glanced over the faces of all present, some let out a slight sigh, and some let out a small look of resignation across their face. They were approaching their unavoidable, true agenda. Last year, his life expectancy was estimated at about 3 months, which I guess he means he's got -9 months left now. Should we take that to mean it might suddenly happen at any time? The family head is still alive and well. The fact that you'd bring up such an inappropriate topic under the light of day makes me doubt your sanity, Rudolph-san. Still, Natsuhi-san, this is the sort of thing you can't put off until after something happens. He's still healthy now, which makes this the perfect time to talk about this. But we still got time to plan. It's just a bit of financial etiquette, you might say.
It seems father is the focus of everyone's concern. Dr. Nanjo, could we either hear the details from you? That appears to be what everyone else is waiting for, after all.
Nanjo, who had been standing by the window and staring out at the rose garden, let out a single cough when he realized that he was being called.
Dr. Nanjo, how is father's condition?
Well, to begin, allow me to start with a revision. Since my estimate last year that he had only 3 months left was not borne out.
No need to explain. You're saying that measuring remaining life is only a prediction, not a promise, right?
That is correct. Because of that, while I accept everyone's repeated questions, I can by no means confirm when he will pass away. A human's life is supported by their body and their mind. If the body is weak, the situation becomes more dangerous. But if the mind is strong enough to compensate for that weakness, the effects of one's conditions can sometimes remain in a subdued state.
Source?
He's a doctor. By sources, I made it the fuck up!
Source, Harvard. So you're saying that even if his body is weak, his mind is still firm and spirited.
Kirei, sorry, but please stay quiet for a bit.
I'm sorry.
I love how you read that. Oh, I really like
Well,
that.
it seems kind of fitting.
No, 100% the. I'm sorry. The fuck you just say to me?
That is correct. Kenzo-san's body is being overwhelmed by the demon of ill health. This will hold especially true as long as he continues to partake of such strong alcohol.
So he's in a crisis now because he drinks. And maybe he's lived this long because he drinks. There's that for you, the heavy drinker. Which is tough coming from me, person who's been called out by my son for going to cheap pubs.
Well then, Doctor, I know you can't give anything more than a prediction, but what do you think about Father's chances of living until this day next year?
That's quite a rude question. Oh fuck, oh shit, oh beans! That's quite a rude question to ask about the family head. Natsuhi jumped on Eva, not even bothering to hide her astonished expression. Eva stared back daringly, but Hideyoshi realized what was going on and tried to smooth things over with a forced smile. Natsuhi-san, forgive her. Eva, choose your words a bit more carefully, okay?
I love their expressions here. It's so funny. Sorry. I was just so concerned about Father's condition.
Is that so? I hadn't realized.
Dr. Nanjo, please tell us. For the sake of the beautiful love of a daughter worried about her father's lifespan.
Damn. Krause laughed sarcastically, and Ava, smiling sweetly, returned an identical chuckle.
You asked whether he will still be healthy next year. But as a doctor, it is very hard to say. Because while I do think this lull in his condition will continue for a while, if he suffers some kind of fit, there may be nothing we can do. After all, Rokkenjima is a solitary island. It's not as though an ambulance could quickly jump in to save him.
Sorry, moving stuff around a bit.
Normally, I would want to have him placed in a large hospital on the mainland, but
Father stated that he does not want his noble research interrupted. Seems he holds a grudge over the way we tried to force him out last year. Apparently, he strongly suspects that he'll be shut away in some hospital if he goes outside. That's how things are now.
Has Dr. Nanjo been examining him?
Father trusts Dr. Nanjo. It seems he can be examined when in one of his better moods.
I can examine his condition, but if I try to recommend medicine or hospitalization, he refuses to listen. I've really only been able to look.
It's true some people hate doctors. Still, what a hassle.
Nanjo sighed deeply. The purpose of an examination is to determine what medical treatment would be appropriate. Receiving an examination and then not following the advice given makes the whole thing pointless.
So, to sum it up, he's still expected to live 3 months. There's no way to guess how long he'll continue to live while still on the verge of death.
Rudolph-san, couldn't you be a little more discreet with your words?
Ah, sorry. I've always talked this way. Give me a break.
I understand how Dr. Nanjo sees it. What about you, Krausny-san?
To be perfectly honest, I have to disagree with Dr. Nanjo. I find it truly difficult to think of Father as a person so sick that he only has 3 months left to live. His yell is as healthy as ever, and I still get chills at the thought of his fists raining down on me. Pushing the care of your father solely on the shoulders of the eldest sibling, far from fair.
Shit, man, you're gonna be okay if they all live here then?
Ha ha. In the next world, get born after me. Okay, let's get back on track. So in the opinion of our impartial and neutral doctor, it wouldn't be odd for him to go any time. No offense, Aniki, but I'd rather trust the opinion of an expert in his field. Which means it's definitely not too early to start talking about Dad's assets.
Father's personal funds probably reach as high as several 10 billion yen, right? But not as though that's all neatly gathered as ready cash. It's not as simple as simply cutting a birthday cake with a knife.
That's an interesting way to put it. That's right. You sometimes get strawberries or chocolates on top of the cake, making it hard to cleanly cut into equal parts. Given that, don't you think it's important to discuss beforehand how best to stick the knife in?
I cannot understand how you all can openly discuss this as though the family head is dead, even though he is still alive.
Now, don't you see how important this is? After all, when the time comes, the inheritance of his fortune must be carried out immediately, right? Moreover, the glorious Ushiromiya house is vast. Don't you understand that careful discussion is necessary beforehand? There's a huge difference between this family's resources and your family's wealth.
Jesus Christ, Ava. How rude! My birth family has nothing to do with this. Natsuhi responded indignantly, though in a low voice, and the already dark atmosphere grew even more hostile.
The
Give it a
girls are
rest.
fighting.
Give it a rest, Ava. Natsui-san, please forgive us. Pardon her rudeness.
Wait, shit, that was turning into Rudolph.
Give it a rest, Ava. Natsui-san, forgive us. Pardon her rudeness.
Hideyoshi tried to smooth things over by glancing at both with a forced smile, but it only resulted in making the hostility between Ava and Natsui even more intense.
It seems I'll just get in the way if I stay any longer. Please excuse me.
Not just like this. I'm fucking out.
Nanjo rose from his seat and exited the parlor. To an outsider, it may have seemed like a normal act of courtesy, but his back was watched by several glances envious of his ability to escape. After the doctor had exited and his footsteps had disappeared into the distance, Kraus recrossed his legs. Also, is Genji still here? Genji still here?
He must be. He's just being quiet.
Yeah, he's just like in the corner, like, alright, cool.
Furniture. He's being furniture.
Jesus.
In other words, this is what you all would like to say. Father's remaining life is short. You want to quickly enter into a practical conference concerning the distribution of the inheritance. Why are you so eager, I wonder? Certainly, as you say, estimating and distributing the Yoshiromiya family's wealth is no simple task. In that case, shouldn't we make careful and deliberate calculations? It seems to me that you all are impatient to split up the cake tonight. Isn't that true, Rosa? What reason is there to be hasty?
Just singling out Rosa. We aren't being hasty. However, we need to have an agreement between the siblings. It doesn't matter when we do that. But if the day father's condition worsens is approaching, discussing the matter beforehand hardly seems hasty to me. Rosa shot a glance at Ava and Rudolph. As the youngest sibling in the family, it was hard for her to be cross-examined by the eldest.
Oh. Is that your true opinion? I didn't expect the most honest and pure-hearted of the siblings would say something like that. I wonder if those two told you to say it.
Quit it, Aniki. Rosa's one of Dad's kids, too. She's got as much right to his inheritance as the rest of us. It's only natural that she'd be interested. After all, Dad'll definitely die. And that's not something that'll happen in the distant future. On the contrary, Aniki, you're way too relaxed. It almost seems like you'd like nothing better than to turn the discussion away from the inheritance issue.
What do you mean by that? Are you trying to accuse my husband of something? Are my Natsui and Rosa voices distinct enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, cool. Calm down, Natsumi-san. Listen to what we have to say.
Nissan, I hear the times have been extremely good lately. Yes, since last year, we've been in an unprecedented boom, and the yen keeps on rising. It seems that it's no longer a dream that the dollar will reach 100 yen. Also, the ruling party says that it'll establish health resort maintenance law by next year. At this moment, resort development companies across Japan are running out, trying to gather as much funding as they can. You certainly seem to know a lot about it. Japan is about to experience an unprecedented boom. It'll be a repeat of the Korean War demands, the time during which father revived the Ushiromiya family. The people of Japan have been working like mad, achieving vast economic growth and becoming the most well-off people in the world, reaching the height of our prosperity. We've reached an era where private spending is vast, which means easy money for institutions that can capitalize on that fact. The three kinds of electrical appliances no longer represent the people's needs. The people need ski resorts, golf courses, public pools, resort hotels, and theme parks. Have you gone to Disneyland, which opened just a few years ago?
Disneyland.
Try not to laugh. What an excellent theme park.
You want to know Persona's workaround for not saying Disney?
What?
It's called Destinyland.
Ah, yeah.
It's right. You know, it's like it's right there, and it's so funny seeing the weird versions. I read this manga where instead of McDonald's, they just turned the M to a W.
McDonald's.
Yeah, I like.
Gross is showing Disney. It's a place where even an adult can be a kid and have fun with his family. No longer do we count our sole virtue to be selfless devotion while failing to care for our families. We've become the most prosperous people in the world, and now we can finally enjoy the benefits.
Cross-on, your foresight's nothing to sneeze at. When I heard that sort of thing several years ago, I thought it was crazy. But when I heard about the G5 Nations Plaza Accord, that all changed. The yen shot up, and I'll bet the price of land skyrockets soon too. It won't be long before Japan becomes the economic center of the world. You got a great sense of the direction the world's moving, Crust-san. At least there could be no debate about that.
I feel the same as Hideyoshi-san. Aniki, you can read into the next decade of history. I'll bet you got that keen sense from Dad. And it's incredible. However, unlike Dad, the timing of your predictions has been a bit off sometimes, right?
Nissan, you've been starting resort projects everywhere, convinced that Japan will soon see a boom, but almost all of them continue to fail. While I'm sure that the era you predicted will soon arrive, it seems you read the timing of that boom. You were too early. You then panicked and tried to sell everything off, which only opened the wound even further. If your nose is really so reliable, then there should be no reason for you to sell off your property.
Do you think Kid and Rosa are just like in the corner, like playing cards?
I wish. That would be pretty funny.
We just like see them like back here. They're just like, got any two? They're playing Go Fish, like, got any twos?
Is this proof that you mistrust your own ability?
How rude. Are you trying to insult my husband? Natsuhi's forehead creased as she rose from the sofa.
I don't know how they're telling her forehead creased. Those some serious bangs.
Ava, paying this no heed, stared at Kraus with a confident smile. Kraus, who also maintained his confident appearance, told Natsuhi to sit down.
Please stop, Natsuhi. Ava's always been incapable of talking any other way. Calm down a little, or your headache will get worse.
How did Kraus ever how did he get together with Natsuhi?
You'll find out.
Like, that relationship is she's everything, he's just Ken.
Yeah, except she's also kind of a pathetic little meow meow.
Such a wild thing.
Well, yeah, she's just, I guess it's hard to, describe.
He was just a bitch.
Yeah. I was talking about Natsuhi, though.
Oh.
Natsuhi is a pathetic little meow meow.
I see it. It's the headaches.
Yeah. She's like a wet cat. There's proof of your lack of talent right next to us. After all, Nissan, weren't you all excited about turning this island into a resort? You built a wonderful resort hotel and beautifully maintained the garden. I'm just an amateur and don't pretend to understand, but you must have used a significant amount of money for that, right?
And what is that to you? My husband's business is none of yours.
Actually, that's not true, Natsuhi-san. Rokkenjima doesn't belong to Aniki. It belongs to Dad. Of course, the hotel does belong to Aniki, right? In fact, we'd be more than willing to pay lodging fees for tonight. What do you think, Rosa?
Well, if what I have on hand will suffice.
If I can make it into a resort, this island's financial worth will rise. It is true that expenses have piled up, but we can expect a large harvest in the future. When that happens, all of you stand to profit as well, do you not? I understand that. If the value of this island rises, that'll increase our portions when we distribute the inheritance. Of course, I won't ask you to divide the island and the mansion into 4 equal parts. We can just resolve the matter with money equal to the value of the property. If you understand that much, what about my business makes you so dissatisfied?
We aren't dissatisfied. We're uneasy. In the first place, Aniki, when do you plan to open that hotel? Left this way, you won't get anything out of it except a grubby handprint, right?
That's right. It's an important tool for your business, isn't it? Surely you can't keep it locked up until the moment you open it. Buildings go bad if you don't use them and air them out every once in a while. Even so, it's a bit extravagant for a guest house that we only use once a year.
You own an island. This family owns an island. I don't think a guest house that's used once a year is over the top extravagant compared to owning an island.
Yeah. Right, Rosa?
That's right. Considering how wonderful it is, I'm sure it'll be quite popular once you open it.
I love how they just keep asking, right, Rosa?
Like,
Eh?
they're really just trying to have Rosa in on this too, so his anger will be spread out evenly between three.
They're just trying to get Rosa on their side. Oh, so the hotel you keep talking about is the guest house.
It's splendid. Just as Rosa said, if you were to open it, I'm sure it will become popular.
The lodging they had been guided to wasn't originally intended to serve as a guest house. It was originally constructed as a resort hotel. However, even though it was built 2 years previously, there is still absolutely no prospect of it opening.
Nissan, just like all of your enterprises, your attention and planning are both fabulous. Then it always becomes unmaintainable partway through, and it ends before you have a chance to earn any profit.
You were brilliant when you saw that using this island only as a place to live was a waste. I think it was a pretty good plan to turn it into a resort that could use the prospect of marine sports, fishing, honeymoons, and the like to attract customers. If I were the oldest son, I'm sure I'd strained my brain looking for a way to make a profit off this island.
But 2 full years have passed since you finished building, right? After 2 years, you still haven't had the opportunity to open it. Where is the managing company you entrusted it to?
Truly, I think if random people, like if he did open it while Kinzo is still alive, Kinzo would just like feel a disturbance and just be like, there is someone who is not supposed to be here on this fucking island, and I'm gonna go kill them.
Rokkenjima murders alternate universe.
Yeah, like I like 100% he has to wait till Kinzo's dead before, or else this is gonna turn into world's most dangerous game.
Imagining him trying to hide it from Kinzo.
That'd be so funny.
Impertinence! That is not my husband's fault. There's just been some trouble with the company that my husband contracted with. No matter how you look at it, we are the victims here.
And yet, the rumors we've heard about this company you hired haven't been good at all.
Let's be clear about this, dear. Did you really think we wouldn't hear about how lack of payment, embezzlement, and other issues led to the project disintegrating mid-flight? We even have evidence.
I don't know what kind of evidence you think you found, but it is all baseless. As new members in the tourism industry, it is necessary for us to lay the groundwork with various people. It is also important to investigate the trustworthiness of our partners. It's merely taking us some time to meet that goal.
I'll admit that, in my rashness, the hotel was completed too early. However, it's not as though we're paying maintenance costs. It's a foundation that will eventually become immensely significant.
Liar. I'll bet you want to liquidate it, but can't. After all, there's no reason for anyone to buy such an extravagant hotel on an isolated, empty island without any established sightseeing routes. And anyway, what about all the loans you've made for this project? Even if you aren't incurring maintenance costs, the borrowed money that you can't return just keeps growing. Sorry, Kraus Nissan, but I've investigated the development plan for this island a bit. To be honest, I haven't heard anything good either.
Hideyoshi-san, I can see how you might be left with that impression by looking only at the current financial situation. However, this is a forward-looking investment. I have no choice but to admit that my prediction was mistaken, and that up until now, several liabilities had been created. However, the times have finally caught up with me. I will soon regain everything that I have lost up to this point. No, actually, all of the investments I have made until now will finally return to my possession. That's right. Just like throwing away a small fry which then becomes a salmon, they will come back even bigger than before.
I'll accept that. The resort business will probably see an unprecedented boom before long, though I don't know if it'll be enough to cover all your debts. However, Cross Nissan, after all your failures in the past, who exactly do you expect to provide you with funding? And this isn't some small amount we're talking about. You'll need enough funding to fill the massive hole you dug. What are you trying to say, Hideyoshi-san? Natsumi-san, please don't get angry. We looked into this too. We checked to see who might have provided Cross Nissan with enough financing to support his recent large-scale project despite his string of failures. And we discovered that no such backer exists. The iron rule of the money roulette is that you bet against the loser. Aniki, you're a fairly well-known loser in this field. It's true that prosperous times are about to come, but when we looked for people who considered that enough to overlook your string of failures, and also had enough for the investment, we found no candidates.
So, the big question now is where you got that money from. Now, isn't this intriguing? And
Dear, how long do you plan to let these ridiculous remarks stand? Sit down, Natsuhi-san. Let's cut to the point. Aniki, you've been diverting Dad's private funds for your own businesses. There's pretty much no room for doubt. If you think we've made some kind of mistake, please, feel free to explain.
Rudolph, don't call it diverting funds. This is embezzlement, plain and simple. A huge crime that can be criminally prosecuted.
That sort of rudeness cannot be tolerated. How can you face the successor to the Ushinomiya head family and level these absurd accusations?
They aren't absurd, they're right on the mark. I'm sure he'd like to somehow make his business succeed and recover his losses, but his debt keeps getting bigger. He's just trying to cover up the failure of one gamble by making an even bigger one. It's only natural that he'd try to grab any source of funding close at hand. Let me be frank. Nissan, what you're doing is embezzlement. You're betraying father. You know that we'll have the court settle this after it's all over, right? Do you think that kind of person has any right to call themselves the successor to the Ushinomiya head family?
Of all the... You dare to claim that he has betrayed the family head? You no longer have the right to straddle the threshold of the glorious Ushinomiya family. Leave this place at once. Now. Get out! Natsui, who had already reached the limits of her anger, shouted at Eva in a rage. She then pointed alternately at Eva and the hallway, demanding that she leave. Eva took out a folding fan and fanned herself with it, glaring maliciously at Natsui, as though silently daring her to repeat what she'd said. However, her mouth was still smiling, curved in the shape of a crescent moon. In that unpleasant silence, Rosa gulped.
Hey, Natsuhine-san? To whom do you think you are speaking in such a tone?
I am speaking to the exceedingly rude sister of my husband. As the person in charge of the main family's kitchen, I cannot overlook any more of this.
In charge of the kitchen.
Ah!
Be silent.
Oh
Lowly
shit!
maid servant.
Oh shit! There was a smack sound effect. Ah! Ava folded the fan with. Oh, it was a snap with the of the fan, and rose to her feet energetically. Compared to the elegance and playfulness she'd shown until a second ago, she was now unimaginably aggressive. I can tell. Look at that fucking vein. Holy
I don't
shit.
think there are any veins in the face like that.
Yeah, she's so mad she created one.
Mm-hmm. How foolish. You stand down. Before Ava of the Ushiromiya family. You tell me to stand down? Me, Ushiromiya Ava, the third rank to the Ushiromiya family hierarchy and the one allowed to sit at the left shoulder of the head.
Oh.
Know your place. And then look at your shabby self in a mirror. Where's the symbol of the wing on your clothes? Where are you permitted to wear the one-winged eagle? Aren't you nothing more than a boardroom to house the next successor to the Ushiromiya family?
Jesus Christ.
Understand your place, you common housemaid.
I forgot just how awful.
Yeah.
Ava's face twisted hideously as her words gouged into Natsuhi's heart like talons, wrenching at it. There were 100 ways Natsuhi wanted to respond. However, her anger and sorrow crushed her throat, and none of those words managed to make it out of her mouth. Her anger had nowhere to go, and became a single hot tear that slowly dripped down. Ah!
Jump scare?
This fucking face sucks! This face sucks!
Yeah. What's wrong? If you have something to say, please do so. Come on.
Ava faced her with a provocative gaze. That's provocative? However, Natsui could do nothing but tremble, her clenched fists quivering. Gotta be great if Natsui just fucking decked Ava, laid her out flat. Kraus quietly broke that powder keg tension.
Natsuhi, leave your seat. You should go cool your head.
What? Natsui, resenting the fact that her husband had not come to her aid, shifted the focus of her attack. Dear, don't you understand what they're saying about you? These people are basically calling you a traitor to father. They're making light of the fact that we protect the glory of the Ushiromiya family, even though we are constantly expending every effort to earn that glory from father. They trample all that underfoot with their hateful rambling. And you don't even try to fight back? Why? I'm only standing up for us because you won't, but you've been putting the entire burden on me for some time now. And now you tell me to go cool my head? It's always me! Even though I have always considered this family's affair so seriously, you... Ah! Natsui was already unable to hide her tears. I just feel bad for Natsuhi.
Yeah.
Like, from what I remember, from how far I've gotten, all she really done wrong is that she's a dick to the servants. And even then, it's kind of implied that she knows she should be nicer to them.
That's even worse then.
I mean, yeah. But God, Rosa's such a fucking bitch. I don't blame her for taking out her anger on other people.
You mean Ava?
Yeah, I meant Ava.
But also, well...
She flew from the rune in that state. After that, all that remained was a somewhat embarrassed mood about the parlor. When the sounds of footsteps grew distant and silence returned, Kraus shrugged his shoulders slightly.
I apologize for my wife. She has always been bad at controlling her emotions.
And instead of being there for her and helping her, I instead tell her to get out of the room like I'm scolding a child.
Yeah. Man.
It's even been rough
You-
for...
It's
Be
even been rough for
nicer to your
me.
wife!
You know, I don't know what I was gonna say in his voice. Anyways, if that's what's been managing your household, must suffer to no end, Nisan.
Fucking bitch. Ah! Ah!
Madam,
It's nothing! Leave me be! Natsui flew into her room and threw herself onto her bed, lamenting. Those heart-wrenching sobs reached Kumasawa in the hallway.
poor Madam Natsuhi. There's a deep enmity between her and Eva-sama. Explaining their relationship would be very trying for me as a woman.
She's just saying this out loud.
Yeah, I know. The
What a cool...
Ushiromiya family holds blood in high regard, but if a woman marries and leaves the family, they're normally removed from the family register. Thus, under normal circumstances, Eva-sama should have been removed when she married Hideyoshi-sama. However, there is no one deserving of blame in this matter.
Yeah, I think there is someone deserving of blame. Two people, really.
Someone started it. The madam certainly bears no guilt. There is nothing to call it other than a whim of God. Cross-sama and Natsuhi-sama were not blessed with children for some time. After all, this is the male-dominant Ushiromiya family. A wife is merely a tool to create an heir. If such a wife cannot fulfill her only duty, she will not even be treated as a human. It pains me to remember how the master tortured Madam during that time. Back then, a wedding between Eva-sama and Hideyoshi-sama was being discussed. Eva-sama was sly. Taking advantage of Madam's inability to become pregnant, she gained the favor of the master. She inspired him to allow her to marry and give birth to a successor herself, making sure to avoid transferring her name out of the Ushiromiya register.
I love that since Battler isn't here to give us an exposition dump, they're just like, yeah, let's let Kumasawa do it.
Yeah, she's just...
Let her have a soliloquy.
She's saying this out loud.
Yeah.
There's a vast difference in the Ushiromiya hierarchy between Madam, who married into the Ushiromiya family and was treated like an outsider, and Eva-sama, who is related to the family by blood and whose husband took on the Ushiromiya name. Furthermore, Eva-sama actually gave birth first, and to a boy. As for how much weaker Madam's position was than Eva-sama's, well, I believe you could see for yourself. I'm sure Madam is tormented by the thought that if only she had gotten pregnant earlier, the master wouldn't have accepted Eva-sama's request to keep her last name after marriage. And Eva-sama wouldn't have been permitted to act as arrogantly as she did today. However, that was not Madam's fault. All of the blame lies with God's whims and the stork that delivered Jessica late. Even so, Madam won't allow herself to see things this way. She probably can't help but cry bitter tears as a woman, at her inability to carry out the duties expected of a wife.
R/men writing women.
How sad. I cannot do anything except watch over her from the shadows.
Oh, we're going back in time. I'm glad that was there. We should end that there.
Yeah.
System. Save. Alright. There we go. Yes. Alright.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Umineko.
On Umineko Day.
On Umineko Day, as of recording, it will definitely not be Umineko Day when this is released.
I don't think you've even uploaded the others yet.
I think I have 2 episodes. As of recording this, I think I have 2 episodes uploaded. It's because
okay, cool.
It's because they're bigger episodes, so I kind of want to space them out more than I usually do.
Yeah, fair.
But we hope you'll join us next time. Yeah, bye for now.
See y'all.